This is a risky space. If you're trading on Uniswap or Mooniswap or Balancer or staking on these platforms with these crazy scams and schemes going on, you need to be careful. You need to know what you're getting into and try to steer away from, the worst of it. All right, so essentially a rug pull in the parlay, the common term, what it's really representing is that someone goes to these liquidity pools, which is how the buying and the selling occurs, and they are essentially ripping out all of the Ethereum at once by overwhelming the supply of the token side. So let's look at the potential for a real world scenario and what can happen.
Welcome back to Investment Tribe, where you've subscribed because you want to learn all about cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and other digital assets. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up and enable the notifications so you'll be alerted whenever we post a new video. For today's video, we will look at the concept of rug pull in the crypto world. This is an infamously sinister move by developers, so take this video as a warning for new investors out there. We will discuss the different ways on how they do this and how to avoid them so that you will be cautious when investing, especially in new tokens. So without further ado, let's begin. What exactly is a rug pull in crypto? Well, imagine you want to invest in the newest cryptocurrency that you saw on social media. They claim that the price is getting higher and higher by the second, and so you try it out to avoid FOMO, or the fear of missing out. So in just a few days, you saw your investment skyrocketing from ×2, then ×3, then ×10. You become so happy that you decide to just hold it, hoping that it will reach ×15 or ×20 tomorrow. Well, surprise, surprise. The next day, the price dropped to 0, just like that. You might be a victim of rug pulling. This is the scummy move of developers of crypto projects to run away and hide with the investors' funds. It's so discouraging for new investors to invest again. That's why we will tell you the different ways this happens so you can avoid being involved in this scam in the future. The first way is by yanking liquidity. When a new developer creates a new coin or token, at first it will be worthless, of course. The value of it will be based on other people's willingness to trade for it. And that's what they should do when creating a new token. They will put a portion of a valuable token together with their new token to a liquidity pool so that it can be traded and then valued. So if they're successful in advertising their new token, investors will give them the valuable tokens in exchange for their newly minted tokens. If this continues, then the price of the new token will rise. Then at this point, the developers can rug pull all of the tokens they put on the pool. Now, you might be wondering, why is it a scam? If they just pulled out what they put in the pool, then they will just get back their tokens, right? Well, that's not how liquidity pools work. Due to what's called automated market makers, the developers will earn more of the valuable token than they put in. That's how they will gain a profit on this rug pull. And since they pulled out all of the tokens, the investors will be left with nothing, and they cannot trade their tokens anymore. The second way is by selling their shares. This one can be a slow burn and not noticeable at the start, so it's pretty sneaky. What some developers do is create a new token and then they advertise it, sell it to a majority of investors. For instance, they can say that it will solve Ethereum's problem or they will release a metaverse alongside it. When they convince the investors to trade and the price goes up, then the developers can sell the tokens that they gave themselves when they first launched their network. It's a circular economy that will result in the developers gaining a profit. Again, it's a slow burn, but there are times that they can do this within minutes. The third and final way is the most obvious one. This is where the developers don't give the investors the ability to sell. Since the process is automated, it is written in a piece of computer code. So the developers can just easily remove the function from the code to disable users from ever selling. They can also make it so that they're the only ones who can sell them. If you can only buy tokens and not sell them, the result would be the price of that token will go up very quickly. And if that happens, then the developers can rug pull the tokens by selling the tokens that they gave themselves or that they brought early on when the price was still low. Now, let's look at some of the signs to look for that a rug pull might happen. The first one is if the liquidity is not locked. Remember that one way that developers can do a rug pull is by yanking the liquidity? So look for tokens that have locked up their liquidity pool. This will be a great sign that your investments will be safe. However, you should also look for the duration of the lockup. Some developers might set the duration for a few months only just to get the investors to come in and invest. And if that expires, then they can rug pull. So look for a duration that lasts longer than a lifetime, for example. The second sign to look out for is that a few wallets own a large percentage of all the coins. These are publicly available data that can be viewed on some platforms like Etherscan. They have comprehensive data on who is holding the majority of a certain token. So if a large portion of the token is owned by a few, this tells us that these are the developers who bought or gave themselves a bunch of their own tokens and are preparing for a rug pull. But developers are not the only ones who can crash the price. You should also watch out for what they call whale wallets. A whale selling 2% of all the tokens will have a significant effect on its price. So watch out also for these whales that can manipulate the price very easily. The third sign is a little tricky, which is they put the majority of the tokens into a burn wallet to hide the true percentage. What the developers might do is they will create a ton of tokens and they will burn the majority of it. Burning, by the way, means sending the tokens into a wallet that no one has access to, rendering those tokens unusable. This means that if you're looking at Etherscan, it will show that the top token holders will own just a very small percentage of it. So for example, they created 100 tokens and burned 90 of them. The remaining circulating tokens are now 10. So if each developer will have one token, then it will show up that they only own 1% of the total token, when in fact, they hold all 10 tokens or 10%, which is considered a whale wallet. The fourth thing is to look for third-party audits done on the network. Much better if there are multiple audits done by different trusted sources. Those are always a huge green flag. The fifth sign is to check if there's an active website or social media page for the token. It's pretty shady if a product or company has no website, right? The same works for crypto projects. Since the process is so easy, developers can make one, then advertise the token on a few Reddit posts or internet forums. Meanwhile, if you're serious about the project, then you will surely provide time to make a website or even a Facebook page. The last thing to look out for is the developer's wallet, and check if it's a multi-signature wallet. This means that in order to access the wallet, it requires approval from several people. This lowers the chance that a developer might get greedy and run away with all the funds, because if it's multi-signature, then several people will need to approve first. The problem with this is you can't know for sure what type of wallet they're using, so you should rely only on their posts and announcements. So the only question now is, if a rug pull happens, who should we go to? It's a scam, so can we report it to the SEC? Well, the thing with the crypto is that we're just getting started. This is not yet a stable market. This is a new technology and we're not sure if we want the government to regulate it. After all, one of the main selling points of decentralized finances is to avoid the government looking at our finances, right? So right now, there are no institutions to go and report to if something like a rug pull happens. That's why when Elon Musk tweeted that tweet, we can't sue him despite how clear the evidence is, because there are just no laws that refrain them from doing so. So the creators of the tokens cannot be held responsible too if they want to advertise their coins, make a hype, and pump it with investments. And with regards to the creators, another factor as to why it's hard to regulate is that some of the creators and developers are anonymous. We don't know anything about them, even their name or their nationality. So it's very hard to pinpoint who's responsible for these scams. This truly is a big question in the crypto world moving forward. Well, that's a topic for another time, I guess. That's all for now. We hope you liked the video and learned something from it. For every market, there will always be scammers trying to exploit the system. That's why we should always look out for each other. That's the best way to combat these scams and frauds. Well, that's all for now. This is Investment Tribe. See you again tomorrow. Keep in mind to like, share, and subscribe.